You know, it's a surprisingly wonderful thing when you get validation. If you watch my last video that just come out, right? My video just came out. I was just speaking about why Mayweather, I believe Mayweather would beat Roy Jones Jr. because Mayweather has that complete game. I'm going to mention some other names. Of course, Andre Ward is one of them. He's got that complete game. Then you got guys like Bernard Hopkins. You got guys like uh, Mike McCallum. You guys hear me talk about Mike McCallum a lot. Mike McCallum is one of those special fighters. He had it all. He could fight inside, he could fight mid-range, and he could also fight on the outside. Even though mostly it wasn't his major thing was really mid-range and inside game. That's the truth about Mike McCallum. Go watch Mike McCallum face James Toney. And tell me if Mike McCallum didn't win that first match with James Toney. I'm asking you guys to go check out Mike McCallum versus James Toney. Everybody talks about James Toney was an excellent inside fighter. Mike McCallum schooled that boy. He schooled him. Okay? Go check out Mike McCallum, right? But I was just addressing Andre Ward here in this video. He again validates it. Shout out to Fight Hype for this information. Now, Kovalev said that, Andre Ward is a dirty fighter. But Andre Ward responded to what Kovalev claimed. He said, this is what he really means. He doesn't want that inside work. It's amazing to me that the same guy who said he would kick me in the ring if he had to, the same guy who said he wanted a street fight, is the same guy calling me a dirty fighter and the same guy crying foul because things didn't go his way. The reality is when a guy likes to fight one way on the outside and is very comfortable fighting and is very uncomfortable fighting inside, they call you a dirty fighter. It's called inside work, or infighting as I would say. That's the way I was taught. You have to be able to adapt and have more than one style at the highest level. Outside, mid-range, and inside if you're going to survive for a long time in this game. Andre Ward is absolutely correct. The reason, and I know Andre Ward knows this because he's been schooled by a very, very good trainer in Virgil Hunter. Right? Andre Ward knows why Floyd Mayweather has been so dominant for so long. In boxing, you need to have options. Floyd Mayweather, as with Andre Ward, can bang. Floyd Mayweather, as with Andre Ward, can fight on the outside. There are two ways to fight on the outside. You can allow your opponent to come to you, or you can go get him. Sergey Kovalev likes to go get his opponent, right? He's going to maintain distance, he's going to maintain range, but he's going to go get you. Another fighter who did that, but was a lot more skilled, was Roy Jones Jr. He'd go get you. But he was very flashy, he was very stylish, and he used his athleticism, but he maintained range. However, just like Sergey Kovalev, Roy Jones Jr. is not very strong at mid-range and on the inside. He used his fast reflexes and his quickness and his guard gifting to stay on the outside and fight his opponents. Didn't have much of an inside game. And his defense was more based on him moving than it was on him blocking punches. Sergey Kovalev's the same thing, even though he's got a little bit more variation in his defense. Both Roy Jones Jr. and Sergey Kovalev, they both have a certain kind of defense which does not involve remote footwork, because both Roy and Sergey, they depend on their footwork in terms of bouncing, moving, all right? But also, Roy depends on the ambush style of boxing. So he's not just a bouncer like Muhammad Ali. No, he can be flat-footed, but he don't stay flat-footed for very long. and he just leap off the feet and he surprise attack you. Now, why it didn't work against Bernard Hopkins the second time was because Bernard Hopkins had gotten a lot more experience. Hopkins knew how to use concrete defense to block those leaping left hooks, because that's what Roy really feasted on. He didn't feast so much on his jab. He was more into the left hook, leaping left hook stuff, doubling it up, tripling it up. That was one of his bread and butter shots. He'd catch you, because he would do like if he's going to jab, and then he'd just leap off, and he'd catch you low to high with those left hooks. Sort of like his mentor, Sugar Ray Robinson, a.k.a. Mr. Walker Jr. He's another junior, right? You got Walker Jr., you got Jones Jr., and you got Mayweather Jr., okay? They were all juniors. They all shared something in common. So, because of that, that's why I said that Floyd could probably beat Roy. Even though Roy has a lot of athleticism, he's very quick for his weight class. The problem with Roy is he only got his real bread and butter is his outside game. You got to have much more than that, right? So, again, for the barbershop conversations, this is where I think Floyd has that advantage over a guy like Roy. He's very good, but he's very good at one type of range of fighting. But the advantage Floyd and Ward has over everybody is they are good at doing it at any range. They can mix it up. I remember when Floyd was banging against DeMarcus Corley. And when he realized he was getting tagged a little too much, he changed it up. He changed up the range. He wasn't trying to in-fight no more. He wasn't trying to mid-range fight no more. He went on the outside. Because he was on the outside, he was able to tag up DeMarcus Corley and drop him. He started boxing him on the outside and using the jab to keep the distance. The trick to it is, can you mix it up? Can you change it up? Floyd said his great gifting is his ability to adjust on the drop of a dime. He can change up range. He can change up stance. He can change up the style he was doing. He can go to another style completely of boxing. He can also imitate your style if he finds it's effective on him and use it back on you. All these things Floyd can do. And Andre Ward is giving you some of the ideas. He's talking about the inside, mid-range. You got to have at least you must be able to be versatile in all ranges. That's a very important thing. It's not good enough to be an inside fighter. Again, Floyd shows this. For Ricky Hatton on the inside, right? Closed the distance on Zab Judah, and he started fighting Zab Judah on the inside, right? Mid-range and inside, right? Did it with Shane Mosley, but he fought mostly at mid-range with Shane Mosley, changing up the angles all the time. Because when you're a mid-range fighter, it means you can't just stand in front of a guy and bang at him. No, you have to change up. You have to be able to use pivots. One of the things Andre Ward, Floyd Mayweather, Bernard Hopkins, and Mike McCallum have in common is they knew how to use pivots in the ring. You hear somebody say, I remember I just recently heard Andre Berto say, he said, Floyd Mayweather, he knows his environment to a T. He takes in everything. He takes everything into account. That means he looks at the time, the ring, where you are, what the audience is saying. He takes everything into consideration. He's very much aware, so it's very hard to catch him off guard and off balance. And plus, he's thinking a couple moves ahead. That's what Andre Ward does. That's what Floyd does. Now, Andre Ward's not as advanced as Floyd, and he's not as gifted as Floyd. But one of the things he did is he listened to his trainer, and so he's got inculcated in him some of those very important essentials, and that's why Andre Ward has been undefeated for so long. He's a hard worker. He listened to his trainer. He developed certain things that you can't happen overnight. Sergey Kovalev, he can work as hard as he wants on his inside, mid-range, whatever games he's going to do. He's never going to catch up with Andre Ward. Andre Ward is already way ahead of him because he's been doing these things since he was a child. So Sergey is not going to beat Andre Ward on the inside. It's never going to happen. All right? Just like how Manny Pacquiao will never beat Floyd Mayweather on the inside. Floyd Mayweather takes away Pacquiao's mid-range game. Floyd's on the outside and he's on the inside. Easy win. Pacquiao cannot beat Floyd Mayweather ever because he takes away from Manny Pacquiao his strength. And once he took away the strength of Manny Pacquiao from him, what's Manny Pacquiao going to do? You got to resort to something else. You don't have nothing else at your disposal. Therefore, you have no answer for Floyd. And it's easy coasting after that. Floyd takes away from you your strengths, uses your strengths against you. And the other thing he does, because if you looked at what Floyd did with that uppercut thing in the, I think it was the 11th round, he hit Manny Pacquiao with an uppercut on the inside. He was able to do that at mid-range because he took away Pacquiao's mid-range game. And then used his mid-range game against him. That's what Floyd does. That's the next thing Floyd does. Bernard Hopkins don't do that. He just take it away from you, and then Bernard Hopkins be Bernard Hopkins. Floyd imitates you, watches to see what you do, take away your game from you, and then use your game back on you. That's what Floyd does. And that is really advanced. I saw only one or two fighters do something like that. I remember Sugar Ray Leonard. He'd mock a fighter. Floyd would do the same thing. Sugar Ray Leonard mocked Roberto Duran like crazy. He used back Roberto Duran's mind games on him in the fight. Floyd, he took, for instance, he took Marcos Maidana's hammer punch. Used the hammer punch back on Marcos Maidana. You remember that looping hammer punch? He used it back on Marcos Maidana. In the fight with Manny Pacquiao bangs his gloves at the end of the 10th round, shakes his head. Floyd uses that and he mocks Manny Pacquiao by banging his gloves together and hitting him with a jab. On top of that, Manny Pacquiao, he would like to, lunge in with his punches, and he would give you an overhand left or overhand right? Floyd took that, used he used the overhand left against Pacquiao. Of course, it was in the form of a jab. He would loop it over Pacquiao's jab and hit him with a left hook. All right, you saw him do it twice in the fight, and that was something Manny Pacquiao wanted to do with his right hand. My point, anyway, is this: Floyd Mayweather Jr. He's a guy that's on a whole other level, and it's because of his guard gifting, of course, added to the fact that he was schooled like Andre Ward was schooled. And the principles that Andre Ward uses, like Virgil Hunter said, the only difference is Andre Ward uses that outreached hand. Mayweather keeps the hand to the inside by his stomach, right? So it's the same system, just that Andre Ward uses the outstretched hand like Charlie Burley. Whereas Floyd Mayweather, he keeps his hand at home. Now, that's sometimes, of course. That's, if you look at Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao, he was mixing up different things. He was using different systems against Manny Pacquiao to protect himself fully against Manny Pacquiao, not just the Michigan defense. But the point is that when you look at Andre Ward, when you look at Floyd Mayweather, these fighters have versatility. And when you have versatility, it makes you elastic so you can adjust to any situation. And not only adjust to situations, but you have options of how you can attack or approach a situation. And once you have options, and another fighter, he feels he only has one way of doing things, you can do so much, you can build so much on that. You can take away things from that fighter, and use them against him. You can explore areas that the fighter is not comfortable in and just work those if you want. You can start building how you want to fight a fighter, because you have so many different options and so many different ways of approaching and beating a fighter. And so I just wanted to elaborate on that a little bit more, because I think a lot of people don't understand what boxing is about. The first thing you have to understand is a fighter can't just attack another boxer. He has to have some point of reference. He has to use his lead hand somehow to locate his target. It's like a targeting device. You need to have some kind of targeting device so you can hit the target straight. Whether it's your eyes lining up with the target, or whether it's you got a bullseye on your gun or whatever. So with Floyd Mayweather and with Andre Ward and with Sergey Kovalev and with Manny Pacquiao, Pacquiao and Sergey Kovalev, they use the jab. They use the jab to try and line up with their opponent. With Roy Jones Jr., he would use left hooks. He would just leap off the ground. He'd use left hooks. He'd also line up himself with his opponent by using virtual stance. The same thing we were talking about, remote footwork, where he's one way and then he would line up with his opponent, and he would use his athleticism to get to them. All right, at an angle. He always moving across the body, right? Catch him with the left hook. It's almost like you're using a jab, but he had to first find out where they were located, either using feints or jabs, to get their location, to freeze them up. You got to freeze up the guy to be able to hit him. You understand what I'm saying? Because you can't hit a moving target. It's harder to hit a moving target than it is to Unless the target's moving into you, then you can, you know, intercept it with the fist or something. But for the most part, you can't hit a moving target, so you have to get the opponent to freeze up a bit so you can catch him. And that's what you have to do with a targeting thing. But if you can't even find your target because the target constantly moving, whether it's the opponent's head or their body, whatever it is, then it makes it much more difficult. And that's what Floyd, that's what Andre do. If the guy's good at long range, I'm not going to give him long range. That's where it's dangerous. I got to hit him at mid range or inside of him. So you can't get full extension because this guy, if he's an outside fighter, he's getting his power off of full extension. I heard Mayweather just recently talk about how Manny Pacquiao generates the power through his hands, through his feet. And Floyd's right. Pacquiao generated a lot of power through his feet. Pacquiao does sometimes hit you with short chopping shots, but for the most part, he springs off his feet, and that gives him the power to knock an opponent down. Most of the time when Pacquiao knocks out an opponent, it's full extension of his power hand, his left hand, or his right hand. Catch you with a hook, but it's full extension on the hook. Catch you with the straight left, knock you down, because he's fully extended. If Pacquiao's not fully extended, how is he going to knock you out? Now he has some short chopping, looping shots too, but they're still too loopy. So by the time he gets his looping shots in there, Floyd's either blocking it or he's intercepted with a straight, sharp shot. So I'm just saying, when we start to talk boxing, when we start to talk about boxing and the details of boxing, you know, it gets very interesting. I look at the responses by some of these people down here, because the responses by people also are very interesting. That's me there, and then you have this guy, Brian Ibarra. He says, Lamao, Kovalev didn't allow Ward to land any significant blows on the inside. Because he's saying that Kovalev tied up Ward. But again, Brian Ibarra, he wasn't really paying attention to the fight. Yeah, Kovalev started putting Ward in headlocks. But Ward was he was strong enough to sidestep those headlocks sometimes and land shots to Kovalev's solar plexus, to his liver, to his spleen area. And you know, when you hit the guy in the liver or the spleen area, you're actually affecting his power hand, and you're also affecting his jabbing hand. So that's why Kovalev didn't have the strength at a certain point in time, and he fell down on the ground when Ward was roughing him up, because you see, he didn't have the strength anymore to keep on clinching Ward. It wasn't that he was tired, it was that Ward was beating the stuffing out of his gas tank, which is his body. You take the breadbasket out, you know, the whole fight's over. And Ward was targeting his breadbasket in specific areas, below the jabbing arm, below the power arm, and up the solar plexus. And the reason why he was targeting those areas so viciously is because when you hit those particular regions, you not only suck out the energy from a fighter, whether the fighter is well conditioned or not. Victor Postol was well conditioned for shots to the head, but not to the body. And I would have wished, for instance, that that 140-pound unified champion, WBC, WBO champion, Terrence Crawford, I was hoping Terrence Crawford would work more off Postol's body. Postol was in great shape, though. But he did knock down Postol a couple times. So, what can you say? But my point anyway is, Brian Ibarra doesn't seem to understand why Kovalev was gassed out at the end of the fight, why he had to lean on the ropes, why he had to blow out his mouthpiece from his mouth, you know, to get it out. He was tired. It was not only because Kovalev hadn't gone 12 rounds, because he went 12 rounds the fight before against whatever the guy's name is. I can't remember it right now. I think it's Isaac Chilimba. But also that Kovalev was taking body punches, and strategic body punches. Talking about the stab to the pit. Talking about that nasty ripping left uppercut right into the solar plexus. Talking about right hooks to the spleen area below the jabbing arm, and left hooks to the liver area below the power arm. These things take effect on you, and then there's nothing you can do after that. And Ward knew how to do it after the breaks. Sometimes he'd tie up Kovalev with one hand, sometimes Kovalev tie him up. Sometimes Kovalev tried to get him in a headlock, and Ward would pivot off to his right, coming out of the headlock, and then landing a nasty liver shot or a nasty solar plexus shot. You know, And that's how Ward was able to wear him down. I think of Canelo Alvarez versus Erislandy Lara. Erislandy Lara was a tough guy. But Erislandy Lara, he slipped and fell mainly because of that body punching, that nasty body assault that Canelo Alvarez started doing. And you can hear the thudding punches. And it's the same thing Andre Ward was doing. Very vicious thudding punches. And then he would work the jab not only to the body, but now he started working to the head. It reminded me of James DeGale versus Andre Durrell, when he would just mix up those jabs. He'd go from low to high, hit Andre Durrell flush in the head, or sometimes he'd just jab him to the body. Wonderful stuff. Ambush fighting. And, you know, that's what you got to look at. You got to look at the science in boxing. Andre Ward comes back to fight Sergey Kovalev. He knows Sergey Kovalev will never be able to catch up with him with fighting on the inside. And Andre Ward really wants to rumble with Sergey Kovalev on the inside, make it really rough for him. It's not that it's dirty fighting. It's just that if a guy clinches your arm, and you got to watch to see if Sergey was clinching up Andre's arm on one side, and Andre got a free arm on the other side, well, he's going to twist his body into leverage and hook him nastily. Sergey Kovalev was doing more arm punches when he was doing, you know, the body work, because he doesn't know how to get that leverage in such a short distance. And it's a skill. Look at Errol Spence do it, how he torques his body, gets it into a torque, and get that real leverage off of shots. You have to basically collapse your arms and just work it in a rotating fashion. Kovalev doesn't know anything about that. So I'm just saying, he's a decent inside fighter, but he's nowhere on Andre Ward's level. Andre Ward knows how to block those punches. He knows how to tie up the fighters so they don't get their shots off, and he gets his shots off first and all of that stuff. So there's a lot of intricacies to boxing. I just wanted to show you guys some of these clueless fans, but they don't understand certain things. Andre Ward is a good fighter, but he needs to chill. Haha. He didn't even win that fight for real. Let's be real. No way he won more rounds than Kovalev. And there's no facts to back it up. The hell does he mean if? That rematch better happen. 160K PPV mega fight, lol. I don't know what that means. If a rematch happens, if. Sounds like the pussy shit is starting already. Shaking my head. So he's saying that Andre Ward is a pussy. Dude. Sergey Kovalev don't think so. Andre Ward, let's go. Andre Ward got owned but won. Kovalev has to put Ward to sleep to win. Really? Like, really? Like, you know, sometimes you just wonder about these fans, man. You know, I'll just say this. I'll say this. If Kovalev tries to put Ward to sleep, this is what I can guarantee. Andre Ward will win. If Kovalev is just going in there trying to knock out Ward, he might just get his ass knocked out instead. Do not play that game with Andre Ward. Andre Ward has shown he's got pop. He's got power. Alright? He dropped Barrera. I forgot his real name. The Cuban dude. I forgot his first name. Sullivan Barrera. That's the guy. He dropped him. Alright? Andre got good pop. And he hurt Kovalev just like how Lomachenko hurt Nicholas Walters. You guys keep on getting caught up in power. You keep on getting caught up in the tough guy. Okay. I saw Kovalev raising his legs when he get hit in the liver. Didn't like those shots at all, boy. Boy be lifting his legs high up in the air like he want to jump for joy or something. Huh. Nick Christophus. Ward acting like he won. What the fuck? The whole world knows he lost. It's only the flotards thinking he won. I'll bet my left ball bag Wall will not give Crusher a rematch. Why wouldn't he give him a rematch? Like, I don't understand these guys. And you know, the statements that these guys make have nothing to do with boxing. You ever notice that? They name call, they say all kinds of things, but you ask them, okay, well then why do you think Kovalev won? Well, he knocked down Ward and he just dominated the fight. Did he? Did he now? Did he dominate the fight? I thought he was ebbing. I thought he was dying out while Ward was getting stronger as the fight went on. I mean, how many rounds do you think Kovalev won? So if you tell me he won round 7, then I know you're out of your damn mind, because you ain't watching a match. You was watching Kovalev maybe, but you ain't watching no boxing match, because obviously Ward won round 7, and don't tell me that Kovalev won round 9, because there's just no way. Ward was the one that punched him into the ropes with an overhand left. See, I'm calling actual shots that happen. See, that's the difference between me and these casual idiots, that talk about boxing. They obviously are idiots because they don't even know what happened in the fight, right? Kovalev sucked it up, don't get me wrong. In the 12th round, he tried to fight back, but Ward was again the one that was more active and was landing the more flush, clean punches, period, in round 12. Ward actually won the round 12. He finished off the fight, hitting Kovalev in his guts, okay, in his solar plexus. That was the last shot of the fight. So if you didn't realize that Kovalev got his ass handed to him from rounds 5 all the way up to round 12, then I don't know what to say. Okay, you can give Kovalev round 10 if you want. You got 1 or 2 jabs in there. He hadn't been throwing the jab as strong as he was in round 1 to 3. Tell me, was it the same Kovalev we saw in rounds 1 to 3 that we saw at least 1 to 2.5? Was that the same Kovalev we saw at the end of the fight? Who was getting stronger at the end of the fight? Who was fighting whose fight at the end of the fight? You telling me that was Kovalev's fight from rounds 4 onward? Kovalev wasn't fighting his fight. Everybody knows what Kovalev's fight looked like. You can just even look at Isaac Chilimba's fight with Kovalev. Isaac Chilimba was getting his tail whooped. He was on the defensive all the time. That wasn't happening in this fight. The one who was getting his ass handed to him was Kovalev. Anybody who could see that. But it wasn't as clear as day. I'm hoping for the rematch so we can see that clear as day. We can see the difference in caliber of fighter between Ward and Kovalev. Because I'm telling you now, Kovalev's going to get beat up really, really, really bad. Really bad. And I just have a feeling Ward's not going to let him get escape by getting knocked out. Nah. He may have to quit. Otherwise, Ward looks like he's going to just beat him up for 12 rounds. Beat him up. Just beat him up. Not going to knock him out. Just beat him up for 12 rounds. Let him suffer. All 12. If you want to quit, that's another story. I think I get that feeling that that's what Ward wants to do him. And, there are ways to beat up an opponent without knocking them out. Because they could quit. And you saw Vasily Lomachenko, he was going for the knockout. But in this case, you can just beat up a fighter and just continue to beat him up. And Muhammad Ali was good at doing that. So, I'm just saying that for these that's why I say these ignorant fans, it kind of annoys me because some people, they just kind of talk, but they have no rational behind why they're saying what they're saying. Listen to this dummy. The Crazed Men Channel. Fights like this are what makes people not like boxing. What are you talking about? This fight was exciting, first of all. Was it the verdict that you didn't agree with and you thought Kovalev won because he dropped Ward in round 2? What else did Kovalev do? Why didn't he finish Ward? If he was so good, why didn't he finish Ward? Why was he getting more and more ineffective as the fight progressed? These are simple questions, man. Simple questions, which casual fans don't even think about. I like how Giant Sandals actually got this. Kovalev would get him in a headlock every time he tried to fight on the inside in the first few rounds. But Ward's the dirty fighter. Now, again, headlocks are part of boxing. So I'm not saying Kovalev's dirty either. And Ward knew what to do if Kovalev tried to do that. When Kovalev was rapid punching Ward just rapid punched right back. That shit was at least as bad as anything Ward did. I'm pretty convinced Ward would win a rematch. Ward had him figured out by the midway point of the fight. Probably would have been earlier if the ref didn't let Kovalev do that shit with the headlocks. So, I'm just saying. AVI said Kovalev's best chance is an early stoppage. Yeah, pretty much. Ward is not finna fight that man again. What makes you say that? Of course he's gonna fight him again. He fought him the first time. Second time gonna be easier. Are you kidding me? Of course he's gonna fight him again. Ward ain't gonna leave that just like that. You guys don't know anything about Ward, man. You don't know anything about black fighters. You guys actually believe the rhetoric that black fighters are cowards, that they come from apes, that they're not smart. There's no such thing as intelligent boxing with them. I mean, it's just one of those things where Ward is at such a high standard. But, you know, it is what it is. You guys have a great one.